Alright, everyone be cool, and maybe you'll make it out of this European bunker.
You'll never get away with this.
Won't I?
Damn it, he's right.
Now, start filling those bags. Start with the big European bills and then work your way down. Oh, so someone wants to go home in a coffin, is that right?
They usually don't bring coffins to the house.
Don't they?
Damn it, he's right.
Now, which one of you fellow Europeans stuck me with an egg? No, it can't be.
It is!
Damn it, he's right.
It's Goose Paloose!
In a world of both evildoers and Tuffians, the residents of Eurofil City Town lived in a constant fear. Generic statues were vandalized, pedestrians were slapped quite often, and the elderly were convinced to get reverse mortgages. At the height of this utter chaos, Prime Minister Palouse was murdered in cold blood, the worst kind of blood to be drowned in. As he grieved at her dead person burial place, busy rocks and truth, her husband Goose decided it was time someone cleaned up this city. He spent a fat half-hour picking up litter before deciding crime fighting would be a better vehicle to channel his grief. Goose majored in test tubes at the University of Science, trained as a fighter with an old person who seemed like they may have done a roundhouse kick a long time ago, and tried to learn close-up magic. But to be honest, his interest sort of fizzled out within a week. One day, while staring out into the abyss, Goose shouted out to the heavens, "I don't think I like James Cameron movies," and then tried to get Amazon to refund him for his rental of James Cameron's classic 1989 film, The Abyss. Unfortunately, they did not. Spanned by this, but also mostly that thing about his wife dying in blood. Remember that? That was pretty messed up. Goose decided he would harness the power of water to become a superb hero of sorts. Goose went up to his lab, put it in a travel crate, and left the Duke with his musa. He then began work in his laboratory, pouring liquids from one test tube to another and other things that make science so damn sciencey. And everything was in order, save the wettest ingredient, water. But where to get it? After days of searching for a water source of any kind, Goose stumbled upon a goose pond filled with goose. Onlookers couldn't quite understand how he hadn't seen the pond earlier, as he had already bucked up to his thigh meats. Regardless, he collected his 6 teaspoons of water and went back to the lab. Goose played fetch with the Duke for a bit while his musa ran errands, because you don't understand. If that Duke is left alone for too long, he'll just take it out on the furniture. When she returned, Goose went back to his laboratory. Having obtained the missing ingredients, Goose quietly said goodbye to his old life, because after he drank his goosey potion, Goose wouldn't be a science man anymore. Goose Palouse would be a superhero! Goose Palouse drank the potion and had an extreme reaction, looking over his test tubes, violently growing a ponytail and sinking more than birds before collapsing to the floor. Shortly thereafter, the lab blew up. And you don't often hear about Duke spontaneously combusting, but apparently it happens to every other poop, so I thought you should know. Anywho, Goose died. Turns out you can't just drink straight up pond water, especially with goose poop in it. Come on, Goose, use your heads. Oh, and I guess on the other side of Eurofil City Town, a goose took over the Palouse department. Yeah, apparently there was a lot of systemic corruption. Not particularly funny stuff, and they unironically thought a Goose Palouse would do a better job. My buddy Terry knows all the details. He can tell you the story sometime. The story of
Goose Paloose.
Drop the carton of chicken eggs or the zeller dies.
You'll never get away with this.
Won't I? Ah! Fucking gross! I'm out!
Goose Paloose.